The four of us spent 5 days at Isle Royale, spanning the last week of July and the first week of August 2022. Our adventure began this way. We took the ferry from Copper Harbor to the island's Rock Harbor. It was a rough ride for 3.5 hours. When we arrived at the marina there, we took a water taxi down to Mosky Basin. That was to save us time and miles on foot. Once there, our first hike was to Lake Ritchie. It's a small campground, tents only. Then, day 2, up to East Chicken Bone. On day 3, we hit the Greenstone Ridge Trail up to the fire tower on Mount Ojibwe. It's worth the extra effort. If the weather's clear, you can get a good look at much of the island and beyond from up above. From there, we continued our hike down to Daisy Farm, where we were lucky to get a shelter for the night. They're first come, first served, sorry, no reservations. And that night, we enjoyed a talk from a researcher on moose and wolves in the park. Up next, the hike to 3 Mile Campground the following day, a surprisingly rocky walk along the coast of Lake Superior. And our last stop was the campground at Rock Harbor and another shelter night. I recommend taking side trips if possible. We rented kayaks and paddled a mile to the trail to Lookout Louise. That's the area devastated by fire a year ago. The fire was started by a lightning strike. From up on top, the views are spectacular. And on our final day, we hiked 4.2 miles out and back to Scoville Point. Lots of great scenery along the way and a very relaxed few hours. So now, here are the 6 quick tips for this trip. Number 6, break in your hiking shoes long before you get to the island. It's the best way to avoid blisters. Number 5, bring plenty of toilet paper. There are outhouses in the campgrounds here, but they do not supply toilet paper, so bring your own and remember the hand sanitizer. Number 4, practice hiking with your gear far in advance, especially if you're new to backpacking. Number 3, bring plenty of bug spray. It was plenty cool in the early August days, but the mosquitoes are still a problem, mostly when you're stopped hiking and you're sitting around camp. Number 2, pack only the essentials. Too much weight leads to all kinds of problems. A few bonus tips before we get to number 1. First, be prepared to get out of your comfort zone. You can do this with the right preparation. Bring a deck of cards for your downtime around camp, and along with it, a bug head net to protect against mosquitoes. And be conservative in your mileage each day, but reserve time for a day hike or two without packs in the afternoon, like our trip to Scoville Point. And here's a pro tip: bring a lightweight backpacker's tarp. It's useful when you're in a tent for a spot to eat, or use it out in front of the shelter for meals and card games. Now, number 1, plan, and plan ahead. We booked our ferry ride and hotel stay in Copper Harbor 4.5 months in advance, and if you can afford it, consider taking the float plane. It cuts travel time and adds to the adventure, but the ferry was okay for us, just a little bumpy on the way there. So that's how we did it. Isle Royale is a great place to make your own adventure.